we go.
Okay, this is Town of Dayton Solid Waste Advisory Committee, 979 Somerset Avenue, Dayton, Mass. 02715. The phone number is 508-669-6431. This is the regular meeting, Monday, April 1st, 2024 at 4:00 p.m. 1111 Somerset Avenue, Dayton, Mass. 02715. This meeting is being recorded. The listing of matters of those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. Please call to order. Tom? Present. Peter Karen, present.
Mike Mullin, Town Administrator, present.
Bob Perry, present.
James Aguirre, building official, health director, present.
Okay, pledge allegiance. Everybody can stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I had no idea you could see the school that way.
What?
I didn't know you could see the school that way.
Yeah, it's literally in the backyard.
You can smell it too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So we're gonna start with old business. Trash bag update and discussion.
Yeah, like when we last met, back in December, the issues with the trash bags was an evolving issue. Jim, did you have an update on that? I think everything's smoothed out.
Yes, the vendor that we have contracted with for the service and response was impeccable. They took back all of the repacted bags, replaced them with brand new bags. They, in my opinion, they exceeded expectations. Unfortunately, in today's world of manufacturing, it seems to be a common theme that quality has deteriorated, prices have gone up.
Right,
But I think that we contracted with the right company.
good.
There was some sleepless nights over this. so-
Oh, I'm sure. One of the things that you finished? I'm sorry.
Yes.
One of the things that you had just said is we're cycling through the old bags. Do you know how many are out there? Not exact number, but
Yeah, no, all the bags have been replaced. We had expected them to replace some of the bags. They actually took the entire remainder of the order back and replaced them.
okay,
Unfortunately, through circulation, some of the older bags were still out there. So there are some vendors who will still have stock from the old or the first delivery, then some of those bags may surface on occasion. But it's been fairly infrequently.
Yes.
That some
Good.
comes in.
and you said it's about $2.40 a bag, right? I mean, 40 cents a bag,
Just under that.
just under that.
Yes.
And what are we getting per bag when we sell them to the residents?
Currently, we're getting $2 for the large and $1 for the smalls.
Okay,
And the smallers are a little bit less
yep, then the 40 cents.
Right.
Right,
So there's a fairly good margin on them.
yes,
But, again, it's trying to create the revenue that's needed to operate this program.
which is a big deal. As you know, the budget shortfall that we have doesn't include any kind of additional revenue for an increase in the bag price.
And unbeknownst to me, until getting into the weeds of this department, I didn't realize how much of a deficit we ran at with solid waste curbside pickup.
Right.
It's significant.
Anybody have any suggestions about increasing the bag price to the consumer? Or is that going to be in your?
Yeah, I'm going
Okay.
to address that in the data reduction that I did.
Sure,
So,
okay,
Well, one of the things, Mr. Chairman, about the bags themselves, and I want to thank Tom for this. Tom, we were discussing at very early stages about perhaps changing the method that we use to track the bags. We found some discrepancies in the bag counts with the current inventory process that we use. So we were wondering if, and certainly it's just a mistake. No one's insinuating that bags are disappearing. That's not the case at all. But I'm wondering if we can start to have a discussion about what we can do to change that process and maybe make it a little more palatable and accurate so that we know exactly what we have.
Anytime.
Okay.
And I'm sure you get the message, there's 2 cases by the door of the container. We don't know
how that falls into inventory.
right?
It
So
might have been something that was supposed to go back. I don't know.
they may have just been left by the vendor because they were.
So what was the end use of that? Is it something to be sold here or thrown away?
Well, we'll check them for quality if they're
Because
good bags.
the damaged cases,
Right,
right, they can't be delivered the way they are.
right. So I don't know, I looked at the boxes, they're not skewed, we can't come up with any type of a barcode reader or anything, so I'm really at a loss, I don't know. The system that you're using is primitive, it's worked well for years, but we did find on a recent, when we quantified the amount of bags, it was definitely off, so,
Yeah, it's usually a math error, and she hasn't found it yet.
right, no, she hasn't found it yet.
Yeah, it's a common mistake to add instead of subtract.
Right. All right, so I'm just looking for suggestions if we can do anything to help that process along, because every bag counts.
Right. I actually have a barcode reader at home that we had designed for a production company that I own. And prints out any kind of inventory, what is where.
So just so I understand, I don't want to belabor this, but would we actually print a barcode and have to affix it to the box?
Fix it to the box, unless the box comes with one and you want to use that barcode.
It could be in the next order, either that or like one of 300, 2 or 300, 3 or 300. They could put that in each box.
Right. All right, I'll talk to the vendor, considering how much service they've given us to date, or the type of service they've given us, maybe they can help us out with this inventory question.
Okay. I mean, I'd gladly donate the reader. We don't
Yeah,
use it enough to keep it.
okay, we'll keep that in mind, thank you.
Yeah.
What about moving them?
Yeah, we talked about maybe moving them, but logistically with the deliveries, with the fork trucks and whatnot, that, the highway department's the best place for them.
Right.
So we just have to figure out how to make sure we get accurate counts.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you gaining moving them? Unless someone else is delivering them.
Right.
I want you to drive down the road with them.
Any questions, Mike?
No, not on the trash bags, no.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Jim. Transfer station update is letter B.
Yes, Tom, do you have any general updates, Tom, and then we can get into the year-to-date expenses and revenues that are driving or have driven everything in FY '24 so far?
So what was your last question again?
Yeah, just in terms of expenses and revenue updates and also, yeah, just in terms of how things have gone generally speaking, since we last met.
So, yes, we're still ironing out some stuff in the POS system. And also working with Missy, she surprise visits us with a call or actually praying in person a few weeks ago. And which was great. So we definitely can see some cost challenges on our part, the way we're running as a transfer station. And the biggest part, and she identified this before, and I don't think we are really capturing it. And I believe in her next visit, she's gonna pound on that a little bit more, visiting some other transfer stations. But the biggest challenge we have is our sticker price. So but first, let me back up a little bit. I asked you a question, and Mike, the same question. Where does this go? How do we address the price list if I want to quantify a change? Is it just through this committee, or do we make a recommendation to Board of Health, or is it through the selectmen?
It's a trifecta. Yeah, it's a trifecta. It's a trifecta based on the board of selectmen being the appointing authority for the Board of Health. But those recommendations really have to start here.
Right. Okay, so with that said, we'll start right with the sticker price. I'm just gonna go through this price list really quick on the things I identified. And I also actually printed out a new price list that's a suggestion or a draft to work on until next week to see where this might land. But right at the top, I think we should get rid of the year, because right now it says 2023.
Yeah.
Get rid of the old phone numbers, clean that up a little bit. Business hours should stay the same. But the sticker price, what is the sticker price for? Why do we have that?
Access.
What's that?
Access.
Access. What does that buy you?
Yeah, I see what you're getting at. From a business entity standpoint, what are we looking to pay for with that access? Is that paying for the attendant? Is it paying for the operations to be open that day? I see what you're getting at.
Right, so that one's 15 now. Canvassing a bunch of towns quickly. They actually identify that's what that's for, to pay for their personnel. So I took the dollar amount that we have budgeted for our attendant, divided by how many stickers were sold last year, it come out to like $28 and change.
Okay,
So if you made it $30, now you know exactly what that sticker's doing.
right.
So when does that happen? Because we sell the stickers from January 1st to December. And let me finish the list. This is important because the Board of Health is working on it now. When we do our curbside, bulky item pickup, last year we chose to assess them the same price of a day pass or transfer station sticker, which was 15.
Yes,
So if we do it 30,
Yeah.
that might not be fair.
right.
However, if you keep the day pass 15, then you could do that 15 per household
Okay,
on that. I don't know how fast this would evolve, if it would affect this year's curbside. If they sold any yet, if they started selling it, then you're stuck with that price.
Right.
we are at.
which is, I'm sorry, January 1st?
The curbside pickup, they're selling those stickers now. Well, they're
Right.
supposed to be for sale.
Any idea what we sold? No.
I don't know if it's even advertised yet.
Right,
No.
They
okay,
just set a date.
yep,
So that's kind of crucial on when things could happen, and maybe we just wait until after July 1st,
Mhm.
but then you're assessing people 6 months for a new price.
right.
Don't
Who
make
set
sense
the
either.
date
No.
for that? Who set the date for the curbside?
I gave suggestion to the Board of Health.
So the current stickers, 24 stickers expire 31st of December, correct?
Correct.
And people have already purchased, so it wouldn't be fair to
Right.
assess them more. What about a 6-month sticker from January 1st to the 30th of June? And then that would put you on the fiscal year with the rest of the budget.
Or 6 month sticker,
Yeah, that's-
July 1st this year, so we can make this work for the 25 budget.
Well, okay. So you're suggesting that, for instance, I have a sticker that I paid $15 for.
Right.
That's going to carry me to the end of the year, or explain how that's going to work?
Right, I
Because
don't,
I think, personally, I mean, Tom, you're the expert here, but I think it's cleaner if we go through till anybody that's purchased the sticker or is going to purchase one, carry them through the calendar year, and then 2025, sell a 6-month sticker for whatever price, okay? But I think we need to align this budget with the fiscal year
that would definitely help.
budget also.
How do we make it work in the whole scheme of things where we are now, right?
So I hear what you're saying. I think that's great, that we're leading in that direction. I have a problem doing that mid-year, because mid-year creates
Yeah.
chaos. People are gonna have the questions that you have.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
Revenue that it generates, although it's important, it's
Mhm.
not gonna close the gap that much. Mid-year, come up with this.
Yeah, and I wholeheartedly agree. However, if we phase it in, like as Mr. Perry is talking about, of January 1 of 2025 to have the folks who have already opted in, having really like a 6 months, a 6-month transition pass to take us to July 1 of 2025, though, that has an ability to bridge everything, won't it? Well,
First of all, not to interrupt, but I just have difficulty with running
It's a bit-
Two separate years.
two
I
separate years.
agree.
Let's need to align everything
mhm.
by a fiscal year.
I don't, yeah,
Going forward fiscal year, but people don't know what a fiscal year.
No, I understand.
So, I mean, this year to change it midstream,
It's always going to be midstream, because if you wait till December for the new stickers, now you're midstream of the fiscal.
However, what if we have, in December and January of 2020, December of 2024 and January 25, we actually advertise the only thing that will be that will be available, like at that point is like a 6 month, like is like a 6 month out sticker to get us from that point to the beginning of FY '26. And then at the beginning of FY '26, we'll have everyone on a fiscal year schedule.
Yeah, I mean, you have, well,
think-
this is
yeah,
April now, you have ample opportunity to let people know. You've got all sorts of meetings to send to Strawberry Vine, you've got, the town Facebook, be it as it may. We have a medium to get it out there. The annual town meeting, you can make as one of the announcements, say, oh, by the way,
Yes.
your information. So I mean, partnership can be done now.
Yeah.
Between now and December. I say it for the last time, we need to align all the money so it starts in July and ends up in
yes, I think,
June.
I agree. And I think what you said was get fiscal year 25 stickers now, start them for July 1st. Because we do have time to advertise that. Honor the 24 stickers to December 31st. We absorb, either way, we're going to absorb something.
Right. Mhm.
And then moving forward, we already got to 25, almost all the 25s. And moving forward, everything falls into place.
Could it be as simple as, because you're gonna have a 6 month overlap, right? You have a 6 month overlap. If you got a new sticker in July,
Mhm.
technically your sticker is still good till the end of the
Right.
year, right? Is it as simple as July 1st, we start with a $30 sticker? And on July 1st, you come in, you give your sticker in, we give you a new sticker, and it costs you $15. And it gets you to the following June.
It could. That's one of the things I want to add on here. The prices are subject to change without notice, and that would cover it.
Right, so you're not getting, it's not costing you another dime for having your sticker for $30, because you already paid the 15. But it gets everybody on July 1st on the same schedule.
Well, that's, I think that's one of the keys. No, that would work.
We got a week to chew on that. Let me just blast through this, because we have some heavy information to go over tonight. So in red was what we actually changed, and then we put lines through of what I wanted to delete. Suggesting to delete the air conditioners and refrigerators. You'll notice the price I'm suggesting. Some towns do a Freon surcharge.
What was that? I didn't hear you.
Freon surcharge. You're supposed to hire someone to collect it. We haven't done it yet. We don't have the ability to do that. So I think we should put the ability there.
Do we have a company that we can get to?
They also through Combis, and we do have local vendors that are able to do it. I imagine you're gonna want more than one unit for them to come to get to.
Well, yeah, you're gonna have a collage of units before they'll come.
Correct. So some towns do a surcharge, some towns just work on their price. Some towns don't have this price list. They just a much larger sticker price because they assume what a household is getting rid of. But our makeup is different than a lot of towns, so it really takes a little bit to understand what you're looking at when you're looking at other towns. So the air conditioners, fridge, let me back up a half a step too. If you look at the list, it's in alphabetical order. I asked a few people what they see, how they perceive this. When they're looking at how to price things, it makes sense to keep things in alphabetical order.
I like that.
Me personally, I'd rather see all the $30 items next to each other, all the $20 items next to each other. It don't work that way.
Well, we all have different names, Thomas.
All right. You notice I added rigid plastic to the item list, and that's for disposal.
What does that consider?
Kid toy, yard toy.
Old fence, plastic.
It could be
fences. I just
plastic
threw them
fence,
away.
could be a deck chair. And then Missy's gonna really hit us hard on what we charge for trailer fees and truckload fees, the half loads especially, and that she warned us that was a slippery slope. We identified that, we worked with the attendant, we got away from it for a little bit, and I'm looking at Saturdays, almost every Saturday load was half a load. And I went up there today, it was stuff that was bulky, unidentified, not on the list, but with a little creativity, it could be in a bag on the side of the road, not in the transfer station, because it matters. The transfer station goes to a landfill. Side of the road does not.
So the problem is they're paying for the convenience of the dump load. However, the stuff is not being disposed of the way it's supposed to be.
Correct.
Okay. And are we also, is it safe to say that because we're accepting it that way, our disposal costs are
That is, well, we're already, at the end of December, we exceeded what was budgeted tonnage wise, but that is, could be a misnomer, if that's the right word, because fall cleanup is usually heavier than a spring, believe it or not. Even the mattress guy, so I'll get to the mattress guy in a little bit, says usually mattresses are very light or none in the springtime. So those numbers are hard to get per month, so it's tough to put per month what comes in tonnage wise. So the rest of this fiscal year is what I'm trying to say, it could be a light on a tonnage.
Oh, could look,
Correct.
everything could level out, okay.
It's still, but number wise, it should get your attention, like right now.
Oh, it does, it has.
Yes. Okay, so the loads are gonna go, and then even the construction debris, we don't have to take them. And way back on the top, one problem I'm noticing, I haven't talked to the resident yet. He made a mistake on his memo in the check. He wrote the address of the apartment he cleaned out in Fall River,
Oh, nice.
but he's a Dayton resident, so he's got, the way this is written, that's why I kind of wrote it a little different.
Mhm.
Dayton residential use only. And then I would think that's unauthorized use of the transfer station. That could be $1,000 fine.
Right. Would yeah, just want.
I'm open to ideas of making that language a little stronger. And then on the bottom, prices are subject to change without notice and keep the other things free. I am missing something. Oh, in the whole scheme of things, and in who we're trying to cater to, I know people do home projects and whatnot. Jim might have better numbers, but just rough numbers. Dayton households is 2,789. That's including single, double family condos, whatnot. Residents, we're up to 8,330 residents who could potentially buy a sticker because they're residents. Last year, we only sold 670 or 71. So we're not really hitting the town at Broad, but the whole town is paying for a few.
Right.
So I want to keep that in mind when we listen to Missy and consider what I handed out. This is just a draft that I gave you guys. That's where I think it's going to be pretty close where we're landing, but there might be other ways to come up with these numbers, and I think I hit them pretty good. If we do take in money, though, it still just goes to general, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So, like, if I did hire someone to get the Freon,
We have to carry an operating.
Yes.
for that.
Yeah, we don't have an enterprise fund
Right,
structure
but-
for that, so we do have to have an expense line for that.
correct, but it doesn't have to be funded, right?
Well, it does if you plan on expending from it, yes.
I don't yet.
But we have to carry.
Right now, conveniently, we're assuming there's no Freon in the devices. They're all empty when they get in the container, but that's not the way it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
Okay, so first of all, Tommy, thank you. This is excellent. You've done a great job. Weeding out where our strengths and weaknesses are. I don't think anyone should be dumping refuse at the transfer station unless that refuse was arrived from the
Change the Dayton residential to Dayton.
It was used to say Dayton residents only,
Right,
so I think residential, I don't know.
slash originate,
Waste must originate from Dayton.
right.
Waste must originate from Dayton.
however, like, also, like, if, like, we're like taking out trailers and tugboats as well, like, I mean, like, just inherently in that, we're gonna remove a lot of that, because just like, actually taking like a look at the list that was, like, actually provided in the fall, just based on who the heavy users are, like, there are a lot of repeat. There were a lot of repeat users here who actually come on a weekly basis, like, just by the data here. I mean, like, in our conventional wisdom would say and point to an average user doesn't generate, like a truckload or trailer load of waste every week. That just doesn't happen. And yeah, like, I mean, like, I think I think actually clarifying residential use only that originates in Dayton is extremely helpful, but like, I think, and hopefully a lot of this will inherently change if we do away with accepting trailer loads and truckloads and half a truckload as well.
So the two big things I'd like committee to work on, hopefully to result in a sense of direction on when to hit how to assess the sticker, like we just discussed.
Mhm.
And then, yes, better language on the stuff generated in town. I asked my assistant if the unauthorized use $1,000 fine would be right underneath that. So it gets your attention more. She thought it jumps out where it is, but I think it should be right next to the line about residential,
Yeah,
Dayton residential
right,
stuff.
good idea.
Yeah, I think defining that refuse must be generated / derived / originate, any of those words in Dayton, and I agree with you. Put the fine right next to it. You read this, and if you don't do this, here it is.
Should we put the fine in a different
Couple them
color
together.
or underline it
No.
or something?
Residential, whatever language we come up with for the residential use, have it right next to this, either this right under it or put that
Yeah,
down there.
but just, should you have it in a different color so it stands out?
I think it's bold and it's.
Well, we're looking for revenue, so maybe we should be smaller print.
You better write letters.
A little
Yeah.
asterisk at the bottom.
To the clock, and she's been fining like crazy.
You know, the other thing, and Tom and I had a little discussion on this a couple of weeks ago, you eliminate, and I don't mean to steal your thunder, you eliminate the truckloads. Great deal of weight. Tonnage, because, you know, when you look at these things that are on the list, they're relatively speaking. I won't say not heavy, but I'll say, I won't say light, I'll just say they're not heavy, as opposed to pulling in with, you know, C and D, those kinds of things. Yeah, I mean, I think we have a cost avoidance going down this road here too. I agree with you.
So I don't see the attendant every day. So we do the turn-ins today and tomorrow. We happen to do them today. The attendant doesn't work until Friday and Saturday, so I'm not going to see him. But because we did the turn-ins, what caught my eye was one resident, I believe it was 4 times, who came in with a half load. Does that make sense?
The other
Depends if
thing,
they're doing a project, it possibly could. However, there are other ways to dispose of your project. It doesn't have to
Right,
be
was it two?
subsidized by other taxpayers in the community.
Right, was it 2 full loads? Were they, what really was it?
and I changed my view on that too, and I agree with your point of view on that.
Yeah, like in the 671 out of 2,900 households, you know, that really says a lot as well, you know. Yeah, like, I mean, like a whole town is really subsidizing what 671 people do, but like out of that 671, I mean, I would say a lot of, just based on how I use my transfer station, I mean, I primarily use it like for leaves and grass and things like that. And then, once you whittle it down to the more, the more regular users, it's really a whole town is subsidizing, you know, like a big expense for this bulky waste. Unknown.
So moving forward, make these small corrections. I think the only liability that would remain is if we lost the attendant, if that takes a while to fill. We do have an overtime line for my guys to work it, but that could get wiped out quick.
Yes.
So that remains as the liability.
Okay.
As far as convenience, if we do move forward with eliminating that service, there are conveniences now where your home center, which is where you're buying your project materials, have
Right,
disposal companies' bags right there.
right there by the,
You can put a significant amount of stuff in those, and they come right to your home and pick it up.
they even advertise that they take construction debris.
Exactly.
Uh,
So,
You know, the 671 stickers, 2789, how many of those are senior citizens that wouldn't go to a transfer station anyway? So I don't think it's that far off.
I did a synopsis a few years ago, and in the research that I found, 30% of Dayton's residents were retirement age.
Okay.
So you can easily whittle that number down to under 2,000, you know?
There are, in this quick survey we did, there's several towns that do a senior rate also, which is another slippery slope. Because when they also do a 1 or 2 year sticker, they give you the option. So the senior can get a half price. And then
We make up for it, right?
with the neighborhood using his sticker, yes,
You got
that's
appliance
what I say.
companies that sell appliances, take them away for free.
Right.
Same thing with the
Almost easier that
mattresses.
way nowadays.
Yeah,
It comes down to the education,
right.
and you want to educate before they make the purchase. You
Yes.
gotta get them before they make a purchase.
Any way that we can justify the expense is great. Because I think people are going to think they're being taxed to death. To them, it's just another tax.
Tom, why you only have $15 for a washer? Shouldn't that be like $30?
No. Most of the metals we're already making, when we dispose of it, we're making money at the banana market rate. I didn't set those rates. The committee worked
Not
hard.
that I want to pay $30, but
Last year, the committee worked hard in making the existing rates, except for the ones you see in the red.
Yeah.
And that, they pooled a lot of towns to come up with those rates. That's it at this time.
Great, thank you, Tom. Excellent job. C is funding discussion based on current expenses and revenues.
Yeah, like, I mean, like I do, I do think just in planning for FY. Actually, no, like where we are right now in 24, like really the issues and. Oh, yeah, like, I mean, like in the revenue and expense, in the revenue and expense data like that I've seen in FY 24, like what we're talking about now specifically for the transfer station, I think going forward would address it. We do halfway through the like fiscal year, like we were, just like really in terms of, like we had a 65, or we do in FY 24, we do have like a $65,000 projected revenue for, like for transfer station billing, and all the $65,000 halfway through, we were only at 22,550. So we have an anticipated revenue gap for the year there now of about $20,000, which just in terms of our general FY 25 budget planning, we did reduce from $290,000 to $270,000 our projected revenues. Just at the beginning now, I do actually think the changes that we're talking about here, and all the broad type of changes will have an ability to hopefully refine that revenue, but just from a starting point, based on these year-to-year revenues and what we've seen so far, in terms of year to date, I do actually think the changes that Tom is proposing would really help and turn that trend around. Whereas also on the expense side, just like for what we are anticipating having to budget in FY 25, that's actually an additional $15,000 based on what we're taking in now as well. So we do have a net impact in terms of where we are, just in terms of revenues, projected revenues through the end of FY 24. Combined with, the expenses that, based on what we're seeing now, we have to anticipate for FY 25, that's really like a net impact of around $35,000 that, really brings us here right now.
Are people just getting more efficient at disposal?
Unfortunately, I did retract for last year, which includes all the disposal, was fairly consistent
Mhm.
with previous years.
Okay,
I didn't see any significant reduction
No.
in disposal. But that only goes through December 31st.
right,
Some of what Mike's capturing brings us to date. I don't have that information just yet.
yes,
When we have it, we have to go through it all.
right,
So I don't know if there's been, to answer your question, I don't know if there's been. A
Right.
reduction.
Yeah.
It's possible though. It's very
Mhm.
possible. Economic climate also pays, impacts.
Sure.
People are buying new things, they're
Right.
getting rid of things, et cetera, so. And we all know that there's been some, economically, there's been some downturns.
right.
Yeah, like, and I just wanted to simply call on, like, of the $250,000, of $250,000 gap that we're trying to close right now, just $35,000 of it, is actually coming, actually exist based on expense and revenue trends at this transfer station. However, like, how I do believe what, has actually proposed would help to solve a lot of it.
I have a follow-up question for Tom, if that's okay.
Sure.
Tom, when you look over the slips that are submitted for transfer station use, do you see any trends in one day that's stronger than the other day, or are they both same?
What type of trends? Because Friday's a work day, Saturday's not.
So, yeah, is one of those 2 days a heavier use day than the other?
No, weather's the biggest factor.
So both, the residents are using both those days fairly equally unless there's a weather event.
Depending on their work schedule. Saturdays, usually you gotta wait a little longer, earlier, later in the day, there's usually enough time that you shouldn't be waiting. So the jury's still out about the need for assistant to the attendant. So you just got, when he gets a better handle on this, he should be able to have better eyes on what's going in the roll-offs.
Okay.
So that still needs to be considered, because he can't be everywhere, like the yard waste is not correct today, my guys fixed it. Because it's around the corner out of sight. He can't be everywhere. But he can if he's cognizant of it. That the people that he can wave by, that he knows what they're doing, and some he needs to follow. When he figures that out, we'll be good.
How's he doing?
He's doing good.
Yeah.
Yes. He really wants to be here.
Sure. That's good. He's going through the worst of the winter.
Yes.
Michael, are there any grant opportunities for us to put a person on, such as the health agent, to help audit it's being disposed of?
Probably use, I'd say, part of the IDP grant for future years, probably to do that.
I'm not volunteering you. What I'm saying is that if this is an issue and education is a big part of it, and you have 700 people
Yeah.
who use it, well, then it would only take 3 or 4 months to try and get through the list of users. This is how it needs to be done. But I don't see that happening with an attendant who's trying to check vehicles in.
I agree,
I
yeah.
think if another person was there, but the funding wasn't derived from our operating budget, I think it would be both more palatable
Mhm.
and more successful.
No, I mean, like, definitely an RDP initiative, I think. It's just how we or the Board of Health leverages is that it's around, I think, like $7,000 a year we get from that, right, Jim?
Typically, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And although there have been votes before to expend that, maybe we can revisit them if this is important. I hear a reoccurring theme with Tom, which is education,
Mhm.
education. Maybe going into the warmer months where things get used a lot, maybe we should explore this.
Mhm.
And again, I'm not volunteering you, but.
Yes, he is.
So,
No, that makes sense.
Okay.
There's no shenanigans around with me.
Ready to move on to D, review of other town operational and budgetary models.
Yeah, like, and this is old business that we really want to have Missy Hollenbeck here for. Like, I mean, actually, like, in trying to like confirm her availability for this, it's actually really interesting. Like, almost every town is looking at their solid waste structure right now. Like, in terms of how they, or how every town plans on balancing for FY 25. Like, I just actually read an article in the Sun Chronicle, like, actually with regards to the town of Mansfield the other day. And like, and Missy is in very high demand to try to, like, provide, different feedback to every community. So when I did reach out to her last week, she did mention she, like, actually, oh, compared. Yeah, compare these few weeks to being in finals week for school. But I do hope and expect like she'll come next week really armed with that community
And she
information.
has a new cat.
Yeah, she has a new cat we learned as well, so. But, yeah, so that is that. Yeah, like, and hopefully like, we'll have more information, we'll have more information there we need to dive into next
Right.
week.
Okay. Yeah, we probably should have said that for next week anyway, but that's okay. We can review it again.
Could I, bring
Sure.
as part of our discussions on, transfer station, we pointed out what is unacceptable waste, in transfer station. I think we also need to address disposal of those unacceptable wastes or those hazardous wastes, such as propane tanks, lead acid batteries, paint oils, gas tanks, etc. Not today, I just want to plant the seed today, but think about hazardous waste days also. And I've not been able to dive into that yet, what other towns do. But I become concerned when we, things that do accumulate. I think people have to have an out for those things. And whether it's through education that we're doing, for instance, if you've got an old propane tank, you could take it to here, or to a vendor that fills them and maybe get a new one.
Right.
Okay? Batteries, what to do with them, but if there's no real out for people, then they're going to end up again. I
Sure.
beat this to death. They're going to end up on the side of the road.
Right.
So when the new board is in place, I like to pursue that.
Sure.
You know, in terms of what are other towns doing, but I think that's an integral part, a small, but an integral and an important part
Right.
of what we're talking about in terms of disposal.
Yes. I don't know, Tom, have we seen an increase in side of the road waste or
No.
even with
no,
the
we-
increased prices?
Actually, we still have residents stealing our litter in places in town. They keep picking it up and asking us to pick up the bags.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Our town's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason I mention that, maybe it's just me, but I think I'm seeing other towns, okay, just see more on the side of the road than I've seen in the past.
Right.
And I just don't want it to happen here, you know.
We have a
Because
few.
ultimately, there's a cost,
Yes.
you know?
People use the ball field at the end of my street. I noticed there's a chair there today that wasn't there a couple of days ago. And every year they have a spring cleanup and get an extra dumpster just for the waste that's been dumped there. And now that they have a parking lot further east, you're hidden from the road. So we go walking down there a lot, my wife and I, and we see it slowly build up.
Even with the new homes?
Yeah, well, the new homes are a little bit of distance away, but of course, there's one that sits right on top of the ball field, and they might be doing dumping, I don't know. But yes, if anything, I've seen an increase in that, but I haven't seen an increase in the town of Dayton itself. But as you drive through other towns, you might be seeing it.
Point being, I think we need to address it down the road, but as part of these discussions.
Oh, sure.
You know.
Okay.
So along with especially the unacceptable items, Missy's been doing a lot of work and he's already through DEP. A lot of brochures, educational components that run parallel with what we should be taking already. So it could be, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's
No,
already,
absolutely not.
there might be items on that literature that we are taking that we maybe shouldn't. And it's stuff's already in motion and in play.
Will she be bringing some of those brochures with her? Or-
Most of them are available online.
Okay,
And then some of them on the towns that canvas, I have some of them too. Nice, easy reading.
okay, good.
Automotive seats, is that a big item? That for unacceptable waste, we see, no, I just was wondering why it was listed.
That'd be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It says if we have quite a few dealers in town, as you know.
Oh, sure,
It was a thing back in the day, a lot
Yeah.
of people do hobbies.
right. Okay,
You know, when I was doing the assessment of all those slips over 3.5 years,
oh, yeah.
certain tires, they come in onesies and twosies, and then suddenly 40. You know, and you knew that 40 people didn't one day decide to dispose of their tires.
Right,
That's,
That's
that
funny.
stopped, yeah, that stopped
Yeah.
now too.
ready on to new business then. A, analysis completed by Mr. Perry regarding the 5-year cost/revenue trends.
Yeah, if I may, I'd like to do a little presentation here so you understand. For one, the numbers were derived off this sheet, which was the FY 2019, 2023 actual curbside trash and recycling cost analysis. That's where I want to start. And what's interesting is, if you look, and I broke it into the top third is just curbside. Middle is recycling, and then the bottom third is combining the two, the total program. So if you look at 2019, the revenue from the bags was 200,000 and some change. Cost was 291,000 and some change. So appropriated funds had to make up 90,000 and some change. That's when the bags, the large were $1.50 and the smalls were 75 cents. So in 2019, just for the trash, curbside trash, the revenue generated by the bags consisted of 68.8% of the cost. And the appropriated funds had to make up 31% of the cost. As you can see, the green is revenue, the red is appropriated funds. Drop down to the middle third, recycling revenue, 0. And obviously, that cost, which is 196 and some change, had to be all appropriated funds. You combine the numbers of the two, taking the curbside bag sales, 200,000 and some change, and the total recycling of curbside and recycling costs is 487. The revenue generated by the bags paid for 41% of the program. And the appropriated funds had to pay for 59% of the program. Okay. So let's fast forward now to 2023. Recognizing a couple of things. Number one, our cost to dispose of materials increased somewhere around 30 to 33%. There was not a commensurate increase in our fees for bags. We did go from $1.50 to $2 for the large, and we went to $1 from 75 cents for the smalls. But that increase did not keep pace with the overall cost that it cost the town of Dayton to run these programs. And if you look again at the same thinking here, the curbside trash revenue was bags of 277,000 and some change. Say, great, $77,000 more than 4 years ago. However, curbside costs went up to 410,000 and change. Appropriated funds had to cover 132,000 and some change. Again, bags, large, $2, smalls were $1 each. You can see that in 2023, bag sales actually fell a little bit in terms of what they covered. It only covered 67% of the cost. Appropriated funds had to make up 32% of the cost. Now granted, it's only 1 or 2 percentage points, but we didn't keep pace with our rising costs. Recycling, I think, is pretty straightforward. You know, there was no revenue from recycling. So if you look at the total program, again, where in 2019, bag sales revenue covered 41%, we're down now to 37.6% the revenues because of, again, increased costs. The rest of the 62.4%, which was appropriate funds, had to make up for those increased costs exceeding our revenues. Okay. Do you have any questions? Those are the numbers. Okay. Do you have any questions before we move forward to 2024? Any questions on that analysis?
Yes,
Yeah, go for
I
it.
must, my copy's somewhere, I don't have it.
Oh my God, Tom, did I forget you?
Right, Mike?
You probably took mine.
No, I did
He's got
not.
a bunch over there.
You guys can share right there.
He doesn't want to share with me. It's not,
Well, I actually didn't want to give him one because he'd start asking a lot of questions.
sharing is sharing, Tom.
Okay, no, I'm with you so far, don't let me hold you up.
Tom, you take a look. Do you have any questions about 2019 and 2023?
No questions, just a comment. It's too bad we didn't keep up.
We never get that.
I knew where you were, I knew that was gonna happen, so.
Yeah, okay, if we could, I'd like to look at just what I call 2024A. Okay. Again, based on this analysis sheet here, which everybody had. Well, it's that-
Yeah.
So, if we were to increase the bag price to $2.70 a bag, and the small bags, so $1.70 a bag, we could recognize or realize, or excuse me, about $404,000 in curbside trash revenue from the bags. And it's anticipated the cost for that curbside pickup would be about $390. We would need no appropriated funds. And actually would generate a profit. And I don't, that's the best word I could come up with.
Sure.
Excess or whatever, I'm gonna say profit.
Mhm.
Because we're saying costs, et cetera, of $13,670. So the revenue would be 103.5% of the cost of the program. The appropriated funds, zero for that program. Let's drop down to the middle third, recycling. Again, recycling revenue, zero. Recycling costs are estimated to be just over $327,000. Appropriated funds, now here's what I did. I took the profit from the bags at $13,670. And I brought that down into the recycling program. So that little wedge you see, the little green wedge, 4.2%, that $13,000 is 4.2% of the recycling cost, okay? So appropriated funds would have to cover 95.8% of that recycling program. Again, the little green wedge is the profit from bag sales, okay? You go down below here to the bottom third, again, recycling revenue is the bags. The cost of both programs, curbside, trash pickup, and recycling is just over $717,000, almost $718,000. Appropriated funds would have to pick up almost $314,000. So revenue would cover, revenue from the bags would cover about 56.3% of the curbside / recycling program. Appropriated funds would have to pick up 43.7%. Okay. By this is all driven by increasing the bag price from the existing $2 for the large to $2.70 and increasing the price of the small from $1 to $1.70 each. Yeah.
Just really quick question, I just really like to make sure like I'm following along, like Jim, the data in here, like it's just stuff for the curbside trash and recycling. It doesn't deal with any bulky waste at all, right?
No.
Zero.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to, okay.
A quick question while we're asking questions. Where'd you come up with the price from? To like the 270 just coming up?
This was a projection that was on this
Yeah, I don't
fiscal
have it.
year sheet.
Yep.
Okay, that was a number that, did you derive that? one?
That was derived from our relationship with Missy Hollenbach through DEP
Okay.
as to what an acceptable trash bag fee would be. Right now, at our current rates, we're slightly less than
Right.
the norm in the air, regionally. So that would be a palatable number that she feels would be acceptable to pay-as-you-throw program users.
Mhm.
Towns do charge as high as $3 for a bag for large and $2 for smalls. So So, you know, we try to stay slightly below the maximum, and that's what we came up with that number.
And if I may, to add on to that, because we've stayed, I'm gonna use the word median, because we've stayed below the median, we've also not kept up with the rising costs, and as a result of that, you see the difference here in the actual live data between these two charts between 2019 and 2023.
Right.
We actually lost ground in 2023 because we didn't we didn't accelerate our costs at the
Right.
same rate. We didn't accelerate the fees we charge at the same rate the cost to us increased. Okay,
Mhm.
so, and again, Jim just mentioned where that the 270 and 170 came from. Okay, and that drove this data here.
Sure.
If we go to 2024V, again, we're looking at essentially the same numbers in the top third, bags being at 270, and large 270 and small $1.70, again, generating a profit. What changes is if we were to charge a recycling fee for each household of $101 per year, that would generate $327,000, would actually cover the recycling costs.
Right.
Appropriated funds, zero. Profit from recycling would be zero. The revenue generated by this fee would cover the recycling program. There'd be no appropriated funds associated with the recycling program. If we go to the bottom third, if we look at the whole program in total, curbside/recycling, based upon these increases, which I just referenced, the bags and a flat fee for each home, there would be no appropriated funds associated with the program.
Quick question on that, like, so the last pie chart on the bottom, represents what would happen if we charged the recycling fee plus razor bags.
Correct.
Okay.
So there it is. I mean, I'm open to questions on anything. I did the analysis. I can provide you with the way I did the analysis, which is pretty straightforward.
Sure.
Seventh grade math, which
Right.
is pretty bad.
The new seventh grade math?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so the numbers made these charts, you didn't bring it to this is not you 5 years ago. Because you were bigger on a conversation with pocket is it coming out of.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah,
so how did you really come to this?
based upon
Just numbers brought you there,
numbers right here.
the numbers themselves.
Correct. Yeah, and all I did was, plug and chug in there. And then I took the liberty on 2024 to take that 13,000 plus,
Mhm.
which we would consider a profit. And I just took the liberty to drop it in here and say, if you did that, it would pay for about 4.2% of this program, which would reduce the appropriated funds a little bit. And then this and this constitute a number down here,
Right.
the entire curbside and recycling program.
I don't see a radical change in end use of recyclables yet, so this is probably the way to go. And for the foreseeable future.
And again, it's, the problem exists. And it's just a question of problem in the sense of it has to be paid for.
Right.
So the question becomes, how is it paid for? And part of it is, well, let me rephrase. Appropriated funds currently pays for a significant amount of it. If we go to increasing some fees for the curbside, it is truly pay as you throw. The other part becomes the recycling. And, it's just a question of which pocket does it come out of,
Right.
okay? Whether it's a fee or whether it's in the tax base.
Yep.
But it has to come from somewhere.
Fantastic job.
I think that the fee is kind of like a policy. You can change it
Right,
easier.
Absolutely.
than making it, right.
And again, please recognize, for anyone watching at home, anyone that watches this is kind of a moving target, and to Tom's point, if it's a fee, it can be changed. We may have overshot,
Yeah.
with this number. We may not have reached the goal.
Right.
No, what we're trying to do is take something that currently, a methodology that currently doesn't exist, to create it, and it's going to require refinement.
Right.
So I think it's important to state that.
We also, what you just have options here too, like we do, like in other towns also try to do the same thing. Like if we go down the fee road, we can also structure like a fee program to have, to have some type of senior discount or offset. Just really to like build that in. Oh, yeah, to be able to build that into the equation as well. There are other towns that do that as well.
So the other thing that's not really this committee is the possible influx of dumpsters. And we already have that mainly in West Dayton on town properties. I mean, that could be a complaint in the future. They're on town property. Some of them are on the asphalt or right there. We might have to have that discussion, how to resolve that.
I know a couple right now that are on town property directly opposite side of the street, and you have to kind of.
Yeah.
It actually,
They should.
it actually affects the pedestrian traffic while traffic's coming.
Right.
Yes.
And that brings us down a licensing road as well.
So if they choose to have a dumpster, that's their choice. I think what we're offering is still cheaper than a dumpster overall,
Right.
but there's a convenience to the dumpster. But it's still at everyone's cost because we get to view it.
So anyway,
Yeah.
those are the numbers that we can,
What do we do?
depart from. Yeah, I mean, it's just a question of how you use the data and what endpoint you want to reach.
Missy, have these?
Give her a copy.
I think she might want them before next meeting.
Yeah, no, I think they're really,
And she would,
Leanne she printed these up for me, so Leanne could email them over.
she has like the file.
Yes,
Okay,
I sent
okay.
her, I asked her to print, I wasn't about to use up my.
No,
cartridge. Another cost to the town.
No, but it's,
See how it works?
nice,
Good thinking.
like it, 3 green dots there.
So,
Nice.
well, it has to come from somewhere, but not that
Right.
pocket.
What kind of senior discount were you thinking, Mike?
see, like, I mean, like, we can, like, just like in terms of, like the revenue projections, that, like, we're trying to, based on how, like, we structure it, we can do, like, we can do, like, we can do, like $10 a year, like $10 a quarter, like, it really would be dependent on exactly how we would try to structure like a user fee to begin with.
Right.
What type of interrelationship a user fee would have with any increase in bags as well.
Yep.
And so I think like it could be helpful for us to talk about the interrelationship between any fee increase, between any pay as you throw bag increase, along with any introduction of a recycling fee, and then having based on that methodology, actually coming up, with a senior discount from there.
Right.
It probably would be the best way to go, because then we can factor in what we know as, how many households we do expect to be our senior population as well.
Tax bill goes out twice a year. And so would we break it up $50 and $51 then?
Well, I think it needs more discussion.
Oh, certainly.
For the purpose of this discussion, then
Right,
that would be an option.
an option, yeah.
Like your water bill?
Right.
When we,
Mm,
$101.
Just don't send it at the same
Oh,
time, the water
okay,
bill.
okay.
You gotta spare, spread that
I
out.
mean, this,
I have well water.
Oh, my water bill.
Sorry.
but I mean, no, and to Ms. Aguirre's point, requires a lot of discussion. This analysis was just to show
Where we're at.
where you could be, where we are now, where we could be. Now the question is, if you decide to go there, how do we get there? That's the
Right.
discussion that needs to be had.
Yeah, like, I think also we'd have to, just from the structure of a proposed utility, like fee, like for recycling structure, like if I had to venture to say, we probably wouldn't be able to send the utility fee. We probably would not be able to like, send the utility fee like bill out with our tax bills either. We probably have to do them. We probably have to send those out separately. So we will have to absorb an additional budget cost to be able to get that back too.
Administrative, right?
So it's because it's a utility that we can't send them out?
Yes.
Which also binds us to other scenarios where the profit,
We have to structure that in it. Yeah.
Right,
we can't run at, 100K overboard,
No.
costs, because it is set up that way.
okay.
To cover the costs, which it should be set up that way.
Mhm.
So I have a couple of thoughts, if I may. I've been thinking about this a lot. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for taking the information that we put together and putting it into this excellent presentation. Few things. In talking with DEP, specifically Missy Hollenbeck, she has made it clear, because I put a lot of things on the table in the discussions with her, that getting rid of bags would be a detriment to our overall tonnage. They've seen historically that communities who go to privatized curbside pickup all can see a spike in their tonnage. We, as a town, have excellent tonnage rate amounts with the current program. So I would hate to lose that ground that we gained, so to speak, by running an efficient, effective program by getting rid of the bags, because privatization has been talked about.
Mhm.
I mean, it's on the table, right? However, there's a cause and effect. Some of the grant money that we've had access to would go away if we had spikes in our tonnage, because all of our grant scores are based on all of those factors. But the other thing that I had, that I thought about, and this was fairly recently after I heard that you were bringing this to the table today, was that maybe we need to look at this slightly differently. Maybe our costs to the taxpayer, in this case, you've set that out to be $101 based on the figures that we had.
Yes.
And maybe we should look at the costs that go out to the taxpayers as a bill to cover curbside trash pickup. So that covers our contract with Borges for curbside pickup. That number is a static number that increases over the life of the contract. So we know exactly what that will be. And the disposal side, which is roughly 35% of our total costs, would now be paid through the bag program. So the bags would be priced at an amount to cover the disposal costs for trash and recycling. And the reason for that is they're relative. If you recycle more, you use less bags.
Mhm.
So it's incentive to the people to say, if I recycle more, I use less bags. However, I need to know that that recycling bag cost is also going to pay for disposal of my recycling. So what does that do? The numbers are the same. We're still going to generate the same amount of revenue. However, it's going to be staggered differently. The cost per consumer for the taxpayer will be slightly higher than the 101. I haven't quantified that. And the bag price would either stay the same or be slightly lower than what it is right now. To me, from a business standpoint, that's a better way to track how we're operating this program, because we can adjust the fee accordingly. If we go into a new contract with Borges, then we know what our costs are gonna be. We can change that fee that goes out to the consumer accordingly. Same thing with disposal. If we know our disposal costs are gonna be X just prior to the start of the fiscal year, then we can alter our bag prices to make sure that we cover our disposal costs.
Quick question, what about like recycling though? Like recycling is kind of in like no man's land because we,
No, it's in the bag revenues. The bag revenues pays for the trash
Okay.
and the recycling.
But then you get rid of the user fee.
No, you don't. The
Why?
user fee is gonna pay for Borges' contract.
But if the price of the bags go down and everyone gets billed $101, you're
I
lowering the
don't know
user
what that
fee.
number is. I don't know. what
Well, yeah,
that is.
I'm
I
just
have to
using
figure
the
it out,
example.
right? Yes. I haven't quantified it because I've only given it thought in my driving around.
Yep,
I wanted to hear what you had to say today. And now I'm thinking that what you have is a great base. And now we just need to flesh out the details and how we propose this. I also think, and because we're not making the decisions, we're simply trying to bring it to the people and say, this is what we need to do to keep this program going. What's the alternative? If taxpayers don't agree to doing this and making this so that trash is a fully funded entity within itself and not on the tax base, well, then the alternative is we privatize. We don't do a curbside pickup trash program and we privatize. I think those are the only two options.
Mhm.
In other words, if you bring it to the taxpayer and say, this is what we came up with, this is what you have. And there's no option B, as you put, option A, option B, I feel the taxpayers will feel like, well, you're not giving me a choice.
right.
And then we have to have a third plan, which is if the taxpayers agree, but they choose they don't want to have curbside pickup and therefore not have the fee, they want to go privatized, then we have to have a deep discussion. It all has to happen in unison, that we have a licensing requirement for curbside vendors in town. You have to be licensed through the Board of Health to put a dumpster in this town, and here are the criteria you need to follow in order to do that. There's a small revenue stream there, but it's very small just to cover the
Right.
administrative side of things
Yep.
for that. But, so it's a complex issue that has a complex answer.
Mhm.
And I think it's probably a myriad of what I just described. And that's the charge of us, is just try to figure out what makes most sense for people.
You don't think having a dumpster fee license first, so you don't appear that you're holding them hostage?
Yeah, no, I do, but I think if the taxpayers are going to reject the quarterly or semi-annually fee for the curbside vendor to remain in Dayton, and they're going to opt for privatization, then every taxpayer in town will have access to, and Westport did it this way, they had 2 vendors that you could choose from.
Mhm.
Here's your private vendors that you can choose from. Use either of the 2. They've already been vetted. They're already willing to come into town. They're already gonna supply the carts to you
Right.
as a taxpayer.
And those, not to get off on this subject of it, the carts, you get 2, one for recycles, one for trash. And they're on wheels, you wheel it out to the end of your driveway and they come by with a truck that just
Right.
hauls it.
But as far as I know, and I'm still learning, as far as I know, our access to grant funds through DEP would be significantly less than what we are paying now, because we're no longer managing the program.
Okay,
Not that we're getting thousands and thousands of
No.
dollars, but we are getting some.
right.
Jim, just a quick question, just, like in FY 23 and FY 20, like for like in terms of how, what the like so-called curbside trash fee would be based on, like in FY 24, that would be based on the 200, basically $209,000 a year, correct?
It's split up. There's trash recycling, rubbish collection, and recycling collection. It's 427,000 by FY 24.
400. Yeah, like I'm trying to like base it off of like the bottom of your spreadsheet, Jim.
That's Well, let's use the budget.
However, does the budget include any transfer?
No.
Okay.
FY 24, 5291 was rubbish collection, 5292 was recycling collection. Those two numbers combined,
Okay.
they have the contract for budgets.
Yeah, like, so it's the 80, the 7.3 plus the 90. No, I'm sorry, I can't read a budget. That's good, that's encouraging. It's a 118 plus the 131.
That's remaining.
Oh my God.
This is the total
Okay.
budget.
Yep.
Yep.
And then the 222. Right?
I can't see my whole thing here, but I think,
Yep.
I think that coincides.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
And then what would be left over to fund through bag prices is what we pay for CMAS.
And for, yeah, so 5294 and 5303 in the budget. It's 150,
Yep.
105,000.
150 plus. Oh, okay. 105, right, Jim?
105, 150, yeah.
Okay.
Now, I didn't prepare a presentation for this. This is just my thoughts, you know. I would more than happy to put that on paper and see what that turns out to be, because we need to know what that number is. Do the bags stay where they are now? And that covers the disposal? Is there a slight reduction? What is the semi-annual fee? You know, I haven't done all that. Based on the revenue that will be created at the 101, we're not far off. We're not talking about 500 versus 100. We're not far off. But to me, from a business standpoint, because we are a business, we take in revenue, we offer services. To me, it just makes more sense that if you do it that way, from a consumer, if you're generating more trash, you're buying more bags, therefore you are paying more to get rid of your trash than your neighbor is.
Right.
However, you pay for the convenience of having your trash picked up, whatever that is, at your curbside
Right.
through your semi-annual fee.
Bob, you made a comment about voting, what the residents would want. What would you do? Put that on a article?
I don't know, there's public hearings, though, that probably would have to be,
Right.
right?
Yeah, we wouldn't, we have a few options in terms of how we could structure this in the FY 25 budget. Because this program really, would be in its infancy. We do have a way to structure it within the general operating budget where we just, where we project revenues that will offset the operating costs. And if we did it that way, basically we could, really to simplify it, we could use, the same revenue lines that we have now. I can add one, I can add a revenue line to deal with the fee option. And, I'm just really thinking about it to make sure we get it right. We might tell it, just like in my view, if we do try to structure like something new, we would do it that way at the beginning to make sure before we were to jump off into a completely separate enterprise fund, that we have all our ducks in a row first. And then as we work out any kinks with with the system, then as we go forward and grow and involve the program, we could then structure in future years like an enterprise-like structure.
Right, that's for accounting, but how do we take the temperature of the residents?
I believe this would have to be voted on by the Board of Health and the Board of Selectmen, because this involves a fee.
Yes.
And then the licensing,
And probably have the FinCom weigh in as well, because
Right.
it's a
so
way.
it's like, I would, would be like a trifecta, like you said
Mhm.
earlier.
Mhm.
But I think it starts with this committee,
Yes.
it goes to the Board of Health,
Mhm.
from the Board of Health, it would have a conversation with FinCom to make
Mhm.
sure
Right.
this all works, then it would end up with the Board of Selectmen.
Okay,
There's three opportunities, not including this one, which the public is welcome
right,
to weigh in.
okay.
And I'm not trying to over anticipate how people would feel, I'm telling you how I would feel. If you were gonna come to me as a taxpayer and say, you know, curbside pickup's great, we've become accustomed to it, here's the new fee structure for it. I think as a consumer, I would like an option,
Mhm.
that I either buy in
Mhm.
and keep going with Borges, or I have an option with a licensed private hauler that would be vetted through the Board of Health.
Okay,
That's just my opinion.
If I may, I see three options. Refine yours a little bit more. And the overriding comment needs to be, Mr. and Mrs. Resident, it's going to cost you money to dispose of what you're throwing away. I mean, that's a given. It's just a question of how you pay for it.
right,
And I think the education piece, which is crucial to going down the road, and as you said, educating the public, is, number one, we could remain with status quo, with the little nuance there being, as we need to track our costs increases, just bags. We need to increase our bag fees based upon the costs for us, the town, to dispose of it, okay? And I think you need to put that on the table, say, and it will take up, it will cost you this much, but appropriated funds cost you this much, i.e. your tax dollars. Perhaps we continue to increase the costs as our costs increase in terms of bags and with the fee to cover the costs of this program, as Jim has suggested. It's still going to cost you, Mr. and Mrs. Taxpayer, money. However, to continue the program as we now know it, you carry your things out to the curb and it goes away magically in the morning. Or you could privatize, and that's where it may become a little bit dicey, not in terms of licensure and inspection and this, that, but in terms of saying to the general public, look, we interviewed, if you will, these haulers, and maybe, I don't know what the law says where you can use names or not, but so we interviewed 5 haulers. If you privatize, this is what it would cost you as an individual to have the trash that you generate, move it. On average, some people would be more based upon generation, some people would be less. But in order to do a proper job of education, putting data for people to actually make an informed decision, I just came up with these 3 options, which I think we need to give the public for them to make that informed decision. If we choose to go, you know, and offer them the 3 items that we discussed.
so based on, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Based on user cost, I don't know, you might not know the answer to this. Is it the type of thing where everybody's going to have a weekly pickup, or I can go every other week because I don't generate as much trash? I mean, I'm looking for a way to save that person who recycles, who doesn't create the trash. That my neighbor, for example, I have a neighbor around the corner from me who generates lots of trash. Why am I going to pay the same thing that he's going to pay, or they're paying, for me putting out what's equivalent to a small trash bag a week?
I think, okay, right off the top, I think that can, let's say it's a pickup. Well, if I'm generating 5 bags and you're generating 1, you're not offsetting my costs. If we structure the bag fee such that the bag fee, bag revenue pays for the cost of the curbside pickup.
right.
Okay, I think from an administrative perspective, it would be more difficult to say, okay, I have to come, the hauler has to come to my house every week,
Mhm.
but he's going to come to your house every other week. I
Right.
think the
It's not gonna
hauler's
happen.
fees would go
Go
up, okay? But I think that's compensated for in the price of the bags, okay? If you go with that, as we do now.
Yeah.
It'd be a little more dicey in terms of cycle, okay? Now, if you elect to privatize, you're making a deal with whoever, whatever hauler you select, whether it's every week, every other week, once a month,
Right,
you know, but that's a negotiation that you and your contractor have.
Okay.
It doesn't involve us at all,
Right.
except the oversight of the program.
We definitely need to flush this out more. As I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about, how do we police this? How do we audit it? You know, Borges has been used to picking up just about everybody's trash at every house. If we do this and someone chooses to privatize, what's to stop them from throwing a $3 bag out or $2 bag out on the curb? And Borges picks it up, but they're not getting charged the fee.
right,
Because they're elected not to have curbside pickup.
yeah,
So maybe I'm being too rational, maybe because Dayton offers curbside pickup, and we are currently in a contract with Borges
Through 25.
through 25, that the privatization thing is off the table right now.
right.
We just have to figure out a way to fund this program. Now, if it doesn't work, and there's a lot of discussion over the FY '25, if this is implemented,
Okay.
then we renegotiate with Borges.
Yep.
We put privatization on the table. We say, how do we do this as a hybrid?
Sure,
Yeah,
But I think we could collect, we could start collecting numbers, privatization numbers
Mm-hmm.
now to have a little more firm.
Yeah, like Raynham.
To,
right.
I think Waynham was when Waste Norton, yeah, like Westport, yeah, like there are like a bunch of towns around that actually don't offer like a dedicated curbside trash pickup, you know, so just like getting household fees and numbers from them.
I can tell you that I pay $500 a year to get rid of my curbside trash with a private hauler in Westport. That's trash every week, recycling every other week, okay? Just quickly, if I do the math, it's more cost effective to continue with Borges, even with an annual fee. Let's say it's $150, whatever that number is to cover those curbside costs. I don't think it's 101, I think it's more than that. Let's say it's 150. Well, I can buy a lot of trash bags with $300.
mhm,
It'd still be under what I pay in Westport.
right,
So I'm not sure privatization is the answer if we do this right.
right.
I wouldn't, I'm sorry.
No, go, please.
No, I wouldn't suggest it is. Point being, if you're going to offer options, you know, I would ask the question, wait a minute, you're not the only game in town, are you? I can go out to XYZ or ABC or whoever.
Right.
And make a contract with them. Well, yes, I can. However, when presenting the menu of options that we're discussing now, I think it's incumbent upon us to put in there, these are the average numbers for privatization per person based upon the experience of these communities, okay? And if people choose to do that, and we have some adjustments to make on Borges contract, et cetera, but I think we have to put it out there, okay, to due diligence on our part.
Well, I love option B. I don't want to sound like I'm taking the easy way out, but the recycle fee is for everybody because everybody recycles. And it's still, the trash that you generate is still based on the number of bags that you're going to use. And we basically break even or make a little, have a little bit extra
We
to
cover that.
cover
Yeah.
additional cost.
Right.
I mean, have had curbside pickup for how many years?
25 years, right?
Forever,
For,
for a long time.
yeah, so
Yeah, and,
why stop rocking the boat, so to speak?
right, and Borges has told me through a handshake, but I consider his handshake to be
Sure,
that we will get at least 3 more years with Borges.
right.
Like,
So basically, we got 4 more years left.
we don't know if he'll be low bidder,
Yeah.
but he said he'll bid on it, so,
I think we did curbside, either 1970 or 71,
really, that's 50 years.
So where did they go before that?
when the landfill opened that 3 months.
Right, landfill, right.
Yeah, like, and also, like, and I'm just really venturing to, like, say here, like, and we can ask, like, for help with Missy to back it up as well, but I would also add that, even with the pay-as-you-throw structure, which we'll have and continue to have, plus a $100, roughly $100 a year fee, we're still going to be far less expensive than other towns like us.
Right.
Like Jim mentioned Westport with your arrangement at, like at $500 a year. Like in Rockland, I have like an $89 fee per quarter, so that's basically $368. And so, I mean, like, I do think once we actually are able to show like an apples to apples comparison, we'll still be on the low side.
Right.
Right, and the other thing to keep this fluid, I think it's important to consider this route is because when CMAS closes, everything's gonna change.
Mhm.
On a whole,
Everything's off the table. So then you have to reinvent the wheel. Right now you have it.
Right.
I still haven't been able to get rates from them for FY 25 disposal rates.
Well, yeah, I think you want the closing date too, because they have to close.
Yeah, well, I can't even get a rate for next year, and then
Missy will know the closing date.
Yeah, well, I know that, and I hate to keep beating the privatization thing down, but I know Missy has said that trash goes up when you privatize. And Dayton right now, in the eyes of the state, is sort of, not, I wouldn't say a poster child by any means, we're not a poster child, but we're excellent. When they look at our disposal and our recycling, we're doing very, very well. So I would hate to upset the apple cart too much. But we have to pay for this.
Right.
This is just, we can't go on like
No.
this.
yeah, like, and the other thing too, just really to piggyback, we have like a contract now with Borges. Like, we've had a lot of cost increases, but baseline our costs, what we face now, like even though they've increased, they're minimal to where other towns are.
Right.
Like we have something very, very, very good with Borges right now that like other towns would only dream of.
I agree.
I'm hungry.
Okay, I was gonna bring pizza too. Mike told me you guys just had it, so not to.
My wife's got it.
You have a family of
You all.
3, 4 sometimes. What do you spend on bags? Keep your house running?
We do sometimes 2 a week, depends on what we're throwing away.
There's my wife and I, and it's usually a bag and a half. It's like 3 bags every 2 weeks.
I use the big ones, though.
Yeah, I use it. big.
So 2 bags a week is $100. Even if you're at 150 for an annual payment, 2 bags a week is, am I right? Am I doing the math right? That's 100 bags a year times $2, $100, right? Plus your 150, if that's the number, you're at 250, you're half of what I pay for private
Right.
tuition.
Yeah, you're all in at 250.
Yeah, and we fill the big recycle bin.
We have a dumpster that costs me $70 a month.
Yeah.
But we have a big house, there's only 3 of us, and we're in the process of purging.
Right.
So the dumpster pays for itself right now.
Right. Paring down, it's fun, isn't it?
Did we do B? FY 25? No, right?
No, not yet, but like basically like this really goes hand in hand with everything,
Still an A.
Yes.
unfortunately.
God.
We like,
That
I
was the
wanted to
longest day
provide to the committee like an overview of our
Hey,
FY
sugar,
25
Thomas.
budget planning
Peanut butter,
and
protein.
kind of where we are in balancing and working the balance the FY 25 budget. I can
Should've brought
base
pizza.
it on the cost increases
Next
in
time,
total
next
that we face. I'll like in where we are
Last
with
time that you didn't come.
where we are with our
I have so much
operational
stuff.
levy. We
I might
do,
pick it up.
have a projected deficit right now of $250,000 going in to FY 2085. And so, I presented balanced budget recommendations and options to both the selectmen and the FinCom last week, I did actually present four different options about how we do have an ability to balance. As we plan for the June 10th town meeting. I'm working to increase revenues and offset costs. From the town's solid waste program, as we've been talking about, was one option. And I just wanted to call everyone's attention. I'll call everyone's attention to that, it's something like this whole discussion, it's important in the, from how we deal with our solid waste, and the challenges that we've faced, and we haven't really kept up with, but it's also important in terms of how we balance FY 25 as one option as well. Have any questions on any of that?
No pressure.
We're getting there. We're very much substantially, and I don't think we're done yet. Well, we're not done.
No. And just to my colleagues, I've been on a lot of committees in the past. This is one of the best committees I've sat on. So
Yes.
thank you, everybody, for everything you put. Thank you.
So that is all that on that, unless anyone has any questions, and we'll be back at it next week.
Yep, scheduled next meeting is next Monday,
Yeah, I
right?
believe-
At 5 o'clock, somebody said?
Starting earlier.
No, I believe it could be at 5.
Posted 4:30. Well, that's what the email said.
Then it's 4:30, I'm sorry. There's been so many meetings, it's been hard to keep track. It's not, it's 4:30, you're right, Tom.
And if we,
Or town hall.
if we bring this discussion up again and Missy's here, should we think about pizza?
Sure, I was gonna bring it today, but Mike said no.
Good job,
Again, Mike.
Michael.
Anytime I get a chance to throw him under the bus. Yeah, I'll bring it next week. I'll be here.
Are you gonna recycle the boxes?
Oh, God.
Yes.
Your private dump?
But you
Are they
know,
recyclable?
but they're full of oil, so I can't put them in the recycle bin. So I have to put them into the dumpster.
Hazardous waste.
Yes. No public input, I would assume. Nobody's here. Approval of the minutes.
I'm gonna have the, at that point, it'll be the last set of 3 meeting minutes at our meeting last week, which will include this week's minutes, the December minutes and the October minutes as well.
Okay, great. A motion for adjournment in a second somewhere.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nobody's opposed. Thank you.
thank you.
5:43.